Good morning, Malacañang Press Corps and guests. Welcome sa Task Force Bangon Marawi briefing. Today we have PIA Director General Harold Clavite.
Thank you, Rocky. Magandang araw, Pilipinas. Maayong udto, MPC. Welcome to another edition of Bangon Marawi Press Briefing. Today, joining me are no less than TFBM Chair Secretary Eduardo Del Rosario, Spokesperson Assistant Secretary Toby Purisima, and Joint Task Force Ranao Deputy Commander Colonel Romeo Bronner. Before I give you our resource persons for today, let's start with some good news. For our internally displaced persons from the most affected areas of Marawi City, the government has begun a Kambisita program on April 1st, allowing residents of the most affected areas in the city of Marawi to visit their homes and collect their belongings. Kasama sa mga preparations na ginawa for the Kambisita program, nagkaroon po ng Kambisita orientation in the Task Force Bangon Marawi Field Office on March 30th. And at the same time, the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police gave a briefing to the barangay chairpersons, purok leaders, and other local residents on matters related to security and traffic. At the same time, malaking tulong ang binigay ng ating mga civil society organizations and local government units, the Community and Family Services International or CFSI, kasama ang Marawi City Health Office, at ang ating mga ulamas ay nagkandak ng psychosocial intervention to ensure that the displaced residents ay nasa tamang disposisyon bago sila bumalik sa kanilang mga bahay sa most affected areas. Now, the chair of Task Force Bangon Marawi will have a presentation for us, but before we do that, let's give time to Assistant Secretary Toby Purisima to give his updates.
Thank you. Good morning, Malacañang Press Corps. Thank you, DG Clavite. We would now proceed with our updates on the efforts of Task Force Bangon Marawi. On the ARMM resolution regarding implementation of PPAs, as the rebuilding process progresses, TFBM continues to work closely with the local governments involved to make sure that we keep the interests of the Maranao our top priority. In this light, the Regional Legislative Assembly of the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao showed us its support by adopting ARMM Regional Legislative Assembly Resolution number 754, which allows the implementation by national government agencies of the programs, projects, and activities, or PPAs, of the Bangon Marawi Comprehensive Rehabilitation and Recovery Program. On BIFAR contribution, the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources in the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao turned over 50 units of non-motorized fiberglass boats with complete sets of accessories, gears, and fishing stalls to identified beneficiaries from Marawi City as part of their Boat R program and to support the local fisher folks in their livelihood. This developed after the agency identified Marawi as one of the country's best performing local government units in fisheries and aquatic resource management. The event took place at the Marawi City Hall on March 27 and was attended by BIFAR ARMM Director Janice Desamito Musali and Mayor Majul Usman Gamdamra. On Vietnam donation, from local efforts we go to international contributions. The Vietnam government donated 8,000 bags of rice through the Department of Social Welfare and Development to help ensure food security in the conflict-torn city. For this, a ceremonial turnover was held in the DSWD warehouse in Iligan City. Each bag contains 25 kilos of rice and will be distributed to families affected by the conflict. On agricultural contributions, on April 5, Go Negosyo and Convergys, in partnership with the Department of Agriculture, conducted the groundbreaking of their third agri-model farm located in Barangay Sagonsongan, Marawi City. The partnership has produced 2 other farm sites for the affected communities, aiming to relieve the trauma from the siege and introduce prospects for sustainable agribusiness. Furthermore, a partner from the private sector, the Agritech Integrated Services Company, or ATISCO, ICE development the development of 10,000 hectares abaca plantation in Marawi City. Abaca farmers can be tapped and given assistance for improving abaca production methods. The target is to start planting abaca by June next year. After 2 years, the projected annual income is 75,000 pesos per hectare. The Department of Agrarian Reform has talks with the Provincial Agriculture Office of Lanao del Sur for the establishment of an abaca nursery this year that will supply inputs for the planned abaca plantation. That's all for my updates.
Thank you, Asek Toby. Now we'll have an opening statement from Colonel Romeo Bronner.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For the updates from the Joint Task Force Ranao, let me start with our operations in support of Task Force Bangon Marawi. During the recently concluded Kambisita to Sectors 1, and we started already with Sector 2, our troops deployed at the checkpoints and inside the most affected area to ensure the security of the visiting residents of barangays Tulali, Daguduban, and Bubunga, and to assist the city LGU in managing the traffic. A total of 1,835 families were able to visit their houses and properties for the past 4 days. Also, with the help of residents, our explosive ordnance disposal teams were able to recover 8 unexploded ordnance comprised of 1 60mm mortar round, 1 hand grenade, and 6 40mm grenades. Since the declaration of the liberation of Marawi, our EOD teams have recovered 1,178 unexploded ordnance, 323 improvised explosive devices, 17 out of 70 unexploded aerial bombs, and 8 skeletal remains. On our assistance in the reconstruction and rehabilitation effort, the AFP engineers under the task force builders have recently completed the construction of 60 temporary shelters at Bahay Pag-asa 2 in Barangay Mipaga of Marawi City. This village is complete with water and electricity, a common hall, learning centers for children, a vegetable garden, a basketball court, and a volleyball court. On our security operations, our relentless effort to recover or capture loose firearms have yielded significant gains with the help of our local executives and the citizens. A total of 295 high-powered and low-powered firearms have been turned over by the executives of Piagapo, Marantao, Masyo, Maging, and Lumba Bayabao. In line with this, we are encouraging the other municipalities and cities in Lanao del Sur and Lanao del Norte to join us in our campaign to get rid of loose firearms in our area. This will lead to a decrease in the incidence of RIDO or clan wars and also of criminality and terrorism. Moreover, we have received feelers that members of terrorist organizations will turn themselves over to the authorities. Hence, we have made arrangements with the LGU for them to help us in the processing as well as in the provision of medical, financial, and psychological support for the fighters. Lastly, we are appealing to our Maranao brothers and sisters not to allow other interest groups to agitate them into doing illegal acts or joining terrorist organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Bronner. Now we call on the TFBM Chair, Secretary Eduardo Del Rosario.
Good morning to all the members of the MPC, Harold, Toby, and Romy. I'll give you the latest updates on Marawi rehabilitation. Slide, please. The presentation will cover the accomplishment of the subcommittees. Those are the basically all the departments involved in Marawi rehabilitation through a video presentation for 5 minutes. We will have the status of the internally displaced persons, focusing on the Kambalingan and Kambisita programs being implemented by Task Force Bangon Marawi. Updates on our transitory and permanent shelter, and the MAA rehabilitation and development. So we shall start with the video presentation.
I hereby declare Marawi City liberated from the terrorist influence that marks the beginning of rehabilitation of the people.
Task Force Bangon Marawi leads the comprehensive and integrated rehabilitation of Marawi City and the surrounding areas to rebuild communities left devastated by the Marawi siege.
It's about time for us to unite for the betterment of everybody. Let us think of what is best for the majority and what is best for all Maranao.
Task Force Bangon Marawi was formed in June of 2017 in coordination with the Marawi City Government, the Provincial Government, and ARMM. The task force improved access to basic services, created economic opportunities, strengthened capacities to help 353,636 displaced persons. By March of 2018, Task Force Bangon Marawi helped more than 73,000 families return home and will continue to help all displaced families rebuild their lives in peace, progress, and dignity. With a 5 billion peso budget in 2017, TFBM delivered recovery assistance in 5 areas. Reconstruction, cleared and improved road access towards and within Marawi, built pathways, drainage systems, and slope protection in transitory sites and evacuation centers, and water supply for families in evacuation centers. Housing. Task Force Bangon Marawi improved the well-being and safety of families. Electricity and water restored in Marawi City and the surrounding areas. 808 transitory homes completed and awarded. In 2018, 6,174 transitory and permanent homes are targeted to be built. Task Force Bangon Marawi secured the health and welfare of families. Task Force Bangon Marawi also made sure to secure the health and welfare of children. Task Force Bangon Marawi, with the local government, continue to facilitate the safe return of families, including the safe visitation of 11,163 displaced families in the most affected areas. Task Force Bangon Marawi improved food security and boosted income by providing livelihood programs, skills training, and employment. As well as restarted market access. And released zero-interest loans. Security, peace, and order. Task Force Bangon Marawi established rule of law and secured communities. While these service deliveries improved socio-economic recovery, TFBM's land resource management led research and assessments, including surveys of more relocation sites to house displaced families. TFBM efforts were also reinforced by the Information Management and Strategic Communications, finance and resource mobilization, and legal groups. So the task force can strategically implement comprehensive and well-coordinated recovery efforts that respond to the priority needs, aspirations, religion, and customs of the people of Marawi. In 2018, TFBM will continue to lead the long road to recovery and rehabilitation through programs and projects that will continue to be guided by consultations with the people of Marawi, that will build a stronger Marawi and Lanao del Sur that is full of economic opportunities, open to all ethnic and religious groups, and closed to violent extremism.
I will see to it that Marawi will rise as a prosperous city again.
Well, that is the summary of what we have done since the start of the rehabilitation. Now on updates on the internally displaced persons and evacuation centers. Before we have 89 evacuation centers with about 5,055 families. Now we have 52 evacuation centers with 1,648 families. With regards to this 1,648, we intend to ensure that all these evacuation centers and families in it will be able to return to their respective cities or municipalities within the year. In fact, out of that 1,648, 630 families come from the different municipalities of Lanao del Sur. So we are thinking of providing them financial assistance so that by the end of April or by within May, these 630 can go back to their respective municipalities, because not all of them are residents of Marawi City. For the home base, before it was 110,000, now it is down to 41,000. Next, please. For the Kambalingan and Kambisita, when we say Kambalingan, these are the barangays affected outside of the 24 barangays or the most affected area. And when we say Kambisita, this is the visit of residents of the 24 barangays within the most affected area. So, Marawi City has a total of 96 barangays, less 24 yung ando sa loob ng most affected area. So, we have 72 barangays outside the most affected area. So, basically, nakabalik ng lahat. We have a total of 52,178 families with 181,873 individuals. Except for about 3,000 plus, those barangays along the Agus River and very near to the most affected area, which we still consider quite unsafe. So, we are going to address that immediately after the Kambisita so that everybody can return to their respective houses, those living outside the 24 barangays. For the Kambisita, we have sectorized the 24 barangays into 9 sectors. And from 1 to 9, and beginning April 1 to May 10, these 9 sectors will be visited by all the residents. So Sector 1, it started on April 1 to 3, and we are now in Sector 2. And as reported by Colonel Bronner earlier, the residents turned over one 60-millimeter mortar and 6 40-millimeter ammunition and 1 hand grenade. So So we can see that the place is really not totally safe for all the residents to come in. And that is one of the reasons why we have to sectorize and specify the dates that they will be allowed to visit so that it will be controlled and not all the residents, about 60,000 individuals, will be entering the most affected area at any given time. So this will end on May 10 in time with the Ramadan, which will start by May 15. Next, please. Now, updates on housing. We need 6,400 transitory housing needs, and in the first site, that is in Barangay Saconsangan, we had already constructed and awarded 808 units, and 244 are in various stages of construction. 2,650 are programmed for implementation or construction by the National Housing Authority starting the second quarter. It's now undergoing site development. We have pinpointed 15 hectares in Site 2 and 10 hectares in Site 3. And these 2,650 will be provided within the year. For the permanent housing needs, we have 3,524, and of these, San Miguel Foundation will provide 2,000 units, JICA through UN Habitat 1,500, and additional 274 will be provided by the Lanao del Sur provincial government and 250 from ARM. You will notice that it is more than the 3,500 because we are anticipating that some IDPs, home-based IDPs, may require permanent housing once they have returned to Marawi City. Now, I think this is the one that is quite a hot issue nowadays with regards to the developer that will develop the most affected area. So I would like to talk about the competitive challenge for the most affected area. Initially, we received 6 unsolicited proposals from these 6 companies. We have the China Railways, China Harbor, Bagong Marawi Consortium, Power China, and Alloy MTD. Actually, the Grand B was not considered because the offer tendered by Grand B is for housing development only, not the development of the entire most affected area or the 24 barangays. There were so many some major practitioners were asking me as to why a Chinese company was chosen. I would just like to state at the onset that these 5 companies, 4 of them are Chinese companies and 1 Malaysian company. Yung mga Filipino companies nakapasok lang sa kanila because these are big companies that can undertake the massive rehabilitation, and the local companies are integrated under them. So yun ang mga nag-submit sa atin, 4 Chinese companies and 1 Malaysian company. Walang Filipino company na nag-submit sa atin na siya ang magde-develop as a local company. So 4 Chinese companies and 1 Malaysian company. And based on our selection criteria with regards to the project costs, terms of payment, responsiveness to the minimum requirements, overall conceptual design, and project design, the Bagong Marawi Consortium was chosen by the selection committee. And this consortium is composed of the following companies. The first 5 on the screen are Chinese companies, and the three at the bottom are local companies. Okay. Next slide, please. Now, what are the minimum development requirements? Because this serves as the parameter in determining the shall we say, the best developer based on the project costs and the terms of payment and so forth. So we have actually 16 minimum development requirements. These are the 8 requirements: debris management, site development plan, area of development shall cover 250 hectares. There must be a concrete improvement, expansion of the existing roads. Both sides of the Agus River and the Lanao Lake will be developed into parks. Provision for underground utilities such as water, power, and telecommunications. Vertical development must be in accordance with the National Building Code, and it must have a centralized drainage system that will lead to a sewage treatment plant, so that all the waste in the 24 barangays, which will eventually become the central business district of Marawi City, will be treated, and when it flows to the Agus River or the Lanao Lake, it will be clean already. Of course, we are going to construct barangay halls, madrasas, and health centers. The 22 two-story buildings will be constructed to replace the destroyed DepEd classrooms and facilities. We will be constructing a convention center that can accommodate, say, 3,000 to 5,000 people. A memorial site, a 2-hectare memorial site, preserve some facilities as historical sites, port facilities. We will be having multimodal transport hub and a grand central market or grand padian with a floor area of 10,000 square meters or 1 hectare. So these are the minimum development requirements that became the basis of the apple-to-apple comparison on the tender provided or submitted by the developers. On the site development plan, this is the perspective, spatial strategy provided by the developer. They have identified the cultural area, residential area, place for tourism. Of course, this spatial strategy will be presented to the local stakeholders so that at the end of the day, we will be able to get what they really want. This is the perspective, spatial strategy provided by the developer, but this is subject to negotiation as regards to the final costing and final desire of the local stakeholders. Some of the perspective, this is a walk area. This street will be used for pedestrians only. There will be no motorized vehicles in this avenue. Next. Site for cultural presentations or shops for their local products. A cultural center or the padian or a plaza. This is the Grand Central Market or Grand Padian with 10,000 square meter floor area. It's an open market. The plaza. There's the perspective of the developer. And fronting the Lanao Lake, fronting Marawi City. It is envisioned to be a park so that tourists can stroll, and because this offers a very good view of the Lanao Lake. And the Agus River will be an eco corridor with hanging bridges or footbridges. And we will develop green areas or parks, 3 green areas in the entire 24 barangays. And this is actually the perspective of the convention center, being envisioned to be located in the cove. That's quite on the right side or eastern portion of the Marawi City. This may be the center of tourism in Marawi City. Now, before we can undertake all this development, and now that we are having a negotiation with the developer, we are sending a team from the developer, from the Marawi City, local Lanao del Sur, ARM, and Task Force Bangon Marawi to conduct a massive consultation, present this development plan to the populace so that they will be with us. The strategy that we would like to have would be a top, bottom, then up development plan, so that everybody, at the end of the day, we can say that this plan is the product not of the national government, but the product of the national government, the local government, and the different sectors on the ground. So this will be our consultation strategy. We will dialogue with stakeholders to discuss and seek feedback for the proposed development of the most affected areas based on the following key issues. The land is a very critical issue in Marawi City. So we have to go down there and ask them if the width and length of the roads would be suitable for their needs. We will locate the proposed infrastructures in areas that they say would be acceptable to them. What are the specifications of these infrastructures? We are talking about public infrastructures. And for these instructors, whether they are amenable that this will be constructed or not, or what other infrastructures that will be needed to be constructed in the most affected area, and the results of which will form part of the negotiated terms and conditions with the developer. Next, please. And this will commence from starting April 9 to 25. We will discuss with selected Marawi clans. Then focus group discussions with key stakeholders targeting the women, the youth, association of vendors, the professionals, the sultans, the imams and ulamas, barangay chairmen, camp managers in the IDPs themselves, of course the NGOs and CSOs present in Marawi City, and of course the academe. The output again will be used in the negotiation stage. This strategy we think is very important because we are hearing that the populace, especially from a small group from CSOs, they have been clamoring to be included in the consultation. Actually, we conducted a total of 52 consultations already. But we have been really planning for this one. Once the development plan is ready, we will go down so that it will be top, bottom, then up development plan. On the rehabilitation timeline, this is our timeline. We are done with the evaluation of proposals. That's why we have selected the Bagong Marawi Consortium. We are now undergoing negotiation. And if we will have a successful negotiation, that's a time that we are going to give that developer what we call original proponent status. And once it is given to him, the following day, this will be published in the national dailies so that the Swiss challenge will start. So we are given 3 weeks from May 4. So we expect the Swiss challenge to be completed by May 25. And if successful again, we will award on May 31 whoever will be the winner in the Swiss challenge. Once awarded on May 31, the groundbreaking will be on June 7 of 2018 and completion will be in the last quarter of 2021. So this is the whole process, and you will see that in the selection process, we actually conducted we will be conducting 2 biddings because the Swiss Challenge is actually a hybrid mode of public bidding. But this is faster because we have to select initially the one that we will negotiate with that developer. Then again, after selecting the developer for the negotiation for a month, we will now have the Swiss challenge. This is actually a public bidding process. So makita natin dito at the end of the day na ang winner government because we will get the lowest cost with the same quality because of the Swiss challenge that will be conducted. So that ends my presentation. Thank you very much.
MPC question. Salaveria.
For Secretary Del Rosario, sir, why do you think wala pong fully Filipino firms na nag-submit ng proposal, and why do you think there seems to be high interest from Chinese firms to be involved in this?
Well, I do not like to speculate. But I think it's not right for me to speculate why there were no Filipino companies who did not participate in and submitted an unsolicited proposal.
Sir, but
Nevertheless, some Filipino companies are in there. They are part of the consortium.
But sir, before the submission of proposals, did we try to get in touch with them or invite them to consider?
Yes. Actually, you will see in the process, there's a publication, joint venture guidelines, and it was published in the national dailies.
But wala lang nag-submit,
Walang
sir.
nagsubmit. And initially, as early as December, these big companies, these are very, very big companies. Big in the sense that their capitalization may run into trillions of dollars. The project for them is very small. If you have a capital base of trillion of dollars and you are talking about a project that will cost only about 20 billion pesos, not even $1 billion. So, para sa kanila, this is a very small. But for Filipino companies, that's massive already.
Sir, yung mga developers po na hindi nyo na-select, could they also participate in the Swiss Challenge?
I don't know. It depends on them if they will participate. Because the Swiss Challenge will be on May 3, I think. So others may challenge. Because that's the beauty of Swiss Challenge. If this developer na one negotiating with us, at the end of the day, nagkaroon kami ng successful negotiation and we ended up with 20 billion, the others can challenge and say, I can do it for 18 billion. Now, the one given with original proponent status can outbid that challenger. We will select one worthy challenger. Kasi hindi naman porke lahat na nag-challenge, we will accommodate. Titingnan din natin yung kanilang capacity, capability, at ano yung kanilang ipinapakitang mas maganda o mas okay kaysa dito sa original proponent. Now, pag sinabi ng original proponent, I cannot challenge that, then that challenger will get the project.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Cedric. Microphone, Nestor. Thank you.
Morning, sir. Sir, what is the rationale behind the plan to build an ecozone, a high-end ecozone, and not just bring back yung Marawi as it was before the war?
Alam mo, nagkakaroon ng malaking misconception yung ecozone na sinasabi. There are no ecozone. Those are public facilities. I was wondering, really, where this ecozone, what's the basis of claiming ecozone? I heard that one time, the head of PESA, Administrator Plaza, Jing Plaza, went to Marawi City and talked to the LGUs. And she's proposing for, if they want, to have an ecozone, economic processing zone in Marawi or in Lanao del Sur. And that is dependent if they would like to have an economic zone. This is not being imposed. It's an offer. Remember, basically all cities in the county would like to have an ecozone because that will spur development in any given city. So I do not know the basis of this clamor that they do not like an ecozone. It's a misconception or deception, I could say, because there is no ecozone being planned. It is an offer by PESA if they want to have. If they don't want, then so be it. Nobody is imposing.
But sir, obviously yung features na plano po ay very high-end as compared to what Marawi was. So bakit po ang plano is to make it so at hindi na lang ibalik dun sa dati niyang itsura, yung Marawi po?
You will see na totally destroyed ang most affected area. 90-95% talagang beyond imagination yung destruction na nangyari. If we will bring back public utilities, I think it should be better. Wala naman tayo maibabalik doon na ibabalik mo sa dati, chaotic pa rin ang labas natin. So, improve na natin yung road networks para magkaroon ng magandang plano. Kung ako nga siguro I'll be very, very happy dahil luluwang yung aking karsada, magiging bago yung aking public facilities, no private facilities. Nagtataka nga ako dito sa ecozone na sinasabi because ecozone is definitely private. There is no public ecozone because you will be attracting locators, big companies from abroad to invest in the area to spur economic development. That is just a proposal by PESA. And for us, for Task Force Bangon Marawi, we could not impose on it. We will just bring back better the most affected area, improve facilities so that they will have better facilities on water, electricity, and telecommunication. Yun lang ang gusto natin.
Sir, last on my part. Sir, Colonel Browner mentioned that 17 out of 70 aerial bombs pa lang po yung nare-recover. How will this affect, sir, yung timetable po?
It will not affect when the groundbreaking starts. The developer, based on on their presentation, they will be hiring a company that can detect these bombs, employ drones, and the capability of their technology can reach us a depth of 100 meters below the ground. So the military now, the armed forces, and the technology that will be applied by the developer will now join forces so that together they will undertake development at the same time clearing operations.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, Sheila, to be followed by PM.
Sir, good morning. Doon lang po sa comprehensive plan to rehab Marawi, meron na po ba? Naglabas na po ba tayo? Di ba kasi March po dapat yun ilalabas?
It was presented to the President last Wednesday during the cabinet meeting, and the total was 55 billion. On April 12, it will be presented to the Task Force Bangon Marawi Executive Committee. We will have a meeting in Iligan City on April 12 for approval of the Executive Committee. It has a total budgetary requirement of 55 billion pesos plus more or less 17 to 20 billion for the most affected areas.
Okay, questions? Follow up, Sheila? Questions, MPC? Yeah, please. Microphone, please.
Nords Maguindanao po from Salam Radio. Kasi nung isang araw or last week po nakausap namin si Asek Castro with regards doon sa simultaneous building of the private houses sa loob ng MMA. Ang nasabi po niya, pwedeng mapayagan ng mga private buildings na o private properties, private owners na magkaroon ng simultaneous building pag na-clear na yung debris management. Paglilinaw lamang po.
Well, actually, our timeline is about 18 months for the debris clearing and putting up the land development. That is the road networks and the underground utilities, water, electricity, and telecommunications. So if that is undertaken on time, then after 18 months or 1 year and 6 months, the different owners, we will do it by pacing, can apply for construction of building permit, housing permit from the city government, so that once and for all, everything will be organized, because we don't have a database of all these buildings and houses. So we will only allow once the developer is through with their site development in providing the utilities. Then, the individual private owners of flats can apply for a building permit from the city government.
Last na lang po, paglilinaw din. With all the developments na ibibigay sa Marawi, would it be assured po na walang matatapakan na public properties?
I think it will be very minimal. It will be in the expansion from 4 lanes to 6 lanes. In fact, in the original plan of the developer, it was so wide so that it will really be spacious. So in the initial consultation, they would like it be narrowed a little so that the private properties will not be touched so much.
Okay, thank you. Last two, Pia Gutierrez.
Sir, aside from yung 17 to 20 billion for the most affected area, ano pa po yung breakdown ng 55 billion?
Oh, napakarami nun. It covers the it's the one crafted by the NEDA. It covers infrastructure outside MAA, the socio-economic, livelihood, and so forth. It's everything is there, a holistic approach in the recovery of the whole Marawi City. It will be published once approved by the Executive Committee this coming April 12.
So, sir, yung Bangon Marawi Consortium, yung proposal nila will cost the government 20 billion pesos. Tama ba?
At the moment, it's 17.2. It's undergoing negotiation, and it will increase if there are some facilities that the local stakeholders would like to have, and we feel that is really needed, then we will incorporate.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Sheila?
Sir, quick lang po. Sir, bakit po parang nauna yung pag-select ng developer doon kesa doon sa paglalabas ng comprehensive plan? Di ba po dapat naka-base yung development doon sa comprehensive plan of the government?
I think that is not right. The comprehensive is outside MAA. So, hindi pa nga tapos yung MAA, luwas na yung comprehensive. And that is outside.
Okay, Cedric?
Sir, balikan ko lang yung sa clearing operation sa groundbreaking. Meaning to say, sir, even after the target na June 7 na groundbreaking, posible na tuloy pa rin yung clearing operations sa mga ordinances?
Yes. Kasi delikado ang safety ng mga workers. If the 500 millimeter bombs will explode, and if there are 100 workers 100, 200 meters near that bomb, the probability of all of them getting hurt is very high.
Meaning to say, sir, tuloy ang construction, tuloy din yung ano?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Kasi akala ko ang unang target is i-clear muna 100% before magsimula ang construction.
As stated by the Armed Forces of the Philippines, there is no 100% clearing on their part. The most is 80% only.
Okay, thank you, Cedric from Kyoto.
Sir, just to clarify, I understand the 55 billion for the CRRP is the needs amount, no, the amount needed to rehabilitate. I'd just like to check as far as cost talaga of damages, properties, infrastructure, and economic loss, na-assess po ba yun, sir, by the...
As a result of the PCNA, I think, are you well versed on that, Toby?
The total damages based on the PCNA is around 11 billion, and the total losses is around 6 billion. And this the initial PCNA report indicated an amount of 51.6 billion in terms of needs, and this was upgraded in the final CRRP to 55 billion. And this is for the area outside of the MAA. The computation, as the Secretary mentioned, for the MAA is different, and that is the 17 billion that is currently being negotiated. So it's 55 plus 17 to 20.
And that will be undertaken from 2018 to 2022.
Okay, MPC questions? Okay, DJ Harold Clavite.
Thank you, MPC, and thank you, Rocky. Just to close, we just want to urge everybody to continue to follow Task Force Bangon Marawi on social media. We have our website also, bangonmarawi.org or bangonmarawi.com, yung dalawang yun. At the same time, we post regular updates also on our Facebook page, TFBM. Ang official handle natin ay sa Facebook and Twitter at Bangon Marawi PH. Yun po yung official. And with all the updates that we do on a regular basis, we always reiterate our call sa ating mga kababayan sa Marawi City. Kasama ninyo kami sa pagbangon sa Marawi. So maraming salamat po.
Hadsi Secretary Del Rosario. And thank you rin kay ASEC Purisima and Colonel Browner. Back to our main studio sa Radyo Pilipinas, MPTV.